This garden of rooms is incredibly varied, super diverse, and also jam-packed with plants. As editors of a gardening magazine, it's no surprise that we're often asked, what's your favorite garden? For me, the answer is easy. Barbara Wyrick's garden in Benton Harbor, Michigan. The drive up to Barbara's house is magical. Plants of all shapes and sizes flank either side. You feel like you're driving up to a botanic garden, actually. The house itself is modestly sized, but from the array of plants surrounding its foundation and spilling out of various containers, it's clear that a seasoned gardener lives here. A stone's throw from the front door is a bog garden filled with plants that don't mind wet feet. Here, there's a giant gunnera that survives thanks to the microclimate. Walk along the elevated wooden boardwalk and you'll see persicaria, papyrus, and ligularias reaching out onto the planks. At the very end, a shady patio offers visitors a place to rest. Just beyond the bog garden is a pair of long, shady borders filled with a mix of interesting woodies and perennials. A turf path, bordered by a black pebble edge, pulls you down the fairly narrow tunnel to a modern red bench. Although the bench is the focal point here, a variegated giant dogwood and billowy masses of Aureola Japanese forest grass are pretty eye-catching too. Within the shade border is an assortment of foliage plants. Hostas, Berginia, golden acuba, and black mondo grass all mingle together to form a textural quilt. The dark red blossoms of astilbe and the towering seed heads from angelica add to the excitement here. The garden is so lush, you almost don't notice the glazed gray urn nestled among the plants. From here, you take a series of stone steps back up the hill from the shady border and you'll arrive in a tropical paradise. Here, Barbara uses an array of bodacious tropical plants and vibrant annuals to make a statement. There are a few hardy perennials and small trees as well, but the real stars are the castor beans and canna lilies. These full sun borders are overflowing with plants that sport bold colors and bold forms. Black magic elephant's ear and Praetoria canna are among the standouts. Golden pineapple sage is another one of Barbara's favorites. These hot-hued borders are somewhat contained by the river rock edging that provides a clear delineation between the garden and the lawn. These sunny tropical borders are big, spanning the better part of an acre. After walking along them in the blazing hot sun, it's nice to have a place to sit and take a rest. At the very end of the borders is a generous wooden bench, placed against a more subdued section of the border with evergreen boxwoods, a red Abyssinian banana, and even a few ornamental grasses. Walk around the tall yew hedge that backs the tropical borders and you'll arrive at the edge of a steep cliff that spills into Lake Michigan. Barbara decided to get playful at the outer edges of the property and dubs it their beach. Here you'll find a tan gravel garden with strategically placed blue lime grass and Elijah blue fescue. A small bench provides the perfect spot for taking in the view of the Great Lake. Playing off the beach idea even more, Barbara decided to partially bury metal rims into the gravel and fill them with sea glass for an interesting art piece. You'll also see glass bubbles scattered about the faux beach, making the area feel even more coastal. Turn your back to the cliff edge and you'll see a lovely ornamental grass garden that looks great year-round but truly shines in late summer to early fall. Sedges, fescues, pennisedums, and miscanthus are all present here. Their fine textures really stand out against the bolder, silver foliage of the bulky cardoon. A large piece of driftwood serves as a naturalistic piece of art and reminds you how close you really are to the coastline. To mimic the idea of the glass bubbles that appear on the faux beach that's just a short distance away, you'll find a few blue gazing globes nestled into the grasses in this garden. Wooden privacy panels appear on one end and partially block the woodland beyond. They act like subtle walls in this garden room. Leaving the more subdued grass garden behind, just around the corner lies a set of double borders filled with colorful annuals and herbaceous perennials in every hue imaginable. At one end of this narrow area is a bright purple chair planted with colorful succulents and backed by a rusted metal sculpture that's meant to look like giant leaves. At the opposite end of the double borders is a modern bench that sits slightly to the right of a corrugated, rusted privacy panel. To soften its appearance, a container of horsetail rush is sunk into the gravel in front of the panel. Castor beans, red fountain grass, and golden arborvitaes surround this spot. Making your way back towards the house, it's hard to miss an area that Barbara calls the black and white garden. The bed lines here are unique, forming a point in the middle and are further accentuated by a mat of black mondo grass. Here you'll also find a plethora of variegated plants, including sedums and even a white and green rose of Sharon. Barbara expands the definition of what a black and white plant is throughout this garden area. Black includes burgundy and purple foliage plants like ajuga and heuchera, while white plants can include paler foliage colors like chartreuse, weigelia, or hostas. You'll also find a lot of white flowers here from plants like panicle hydrangea, and even black and white pebbles used as mulch in certain spots to amp up the interest. The whole effect is one of constant contrasting color, which makes it hard to look away. At this point, you've seen virtually all of the amazing garden rooms that Barbara and her husband Ron have created for their Zone 6 landscape. But as you pull out of the driveway, you'll see yet another themed garden to the left, a dry, succulent border reminiscent of the Arizona desert. The core planting is entirely hardy, with sedums, hens and chicks, and yuccas providing the framework. There are some tender plants that are interplanted seasonally as well. The well-drained, full-sun hill strip is the perfect place for this type of planting. And it's the final reminder that this varied landscape is like nothing else you've ever seen, a garden made up of dozens of smaller themed spaces that leave a lasting impression.